How's it going, YouTube? Navy Sooner here. Today we're going to be doing something a little fun. Towards the end of 2020 I decided to take a little break because of Christmas and the New Year, and I have been doing videos non-stop, at least one a week for the last year and a half, if not longer. So I decided to take a little break. Well, it is 2021 and let's just have a little fun. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be shooting a steel target like a gong at different distances with different calibers just to see what it looks like when it hits. This is not scientific. No, it's not. It's just not scientific. Just having a little fun. 2021, get rid of this old crappy 2020, whatever the hell you want to call that shit. Yeah, let's have fun. First one we're doing is 22 long rifle out of my Taurus TX22. We're going to be doing this at about 10 yards. I'm back inside because I wanted to explain some things. Now, some people would say that this is not scientific, which, I mean, it's not under a controlled environment and all this stuff, but there is physics in it. Me having a degree in a social science, me working on a doctorate in a medical science, and then also being an aviation electronics technician working on some of the most advanced avionics. Not really advanced, I mean old ass F-18s and MH-53s, but that's what I did in the Navy. So, I mean, I am using a little bit of science here when I'm going to be talking about the difference between kinetic energy and momentum and power and all this stuff. There are many different factors that will change the way that the steel reacts to the bullet. One of them is how fast the bullet's going. Now, I don't have a chronograph and I don't plan on buying a chronograph. I'm not reloading right now, so I don't really need one. And even if I was reloading, as long as I get good groups, I don't really give a shit. But the boxes tell me how many feet per second each round is, and that's based on the manufacturer's numbers. Some manufacturers do put out what the length of the barrel is that they use, but it's generally not the same thing that you're doing. And usually when they're saying feet per second, and if they do offer you an energy in foot-pounds, it is a lot more than what it actually is. The advertised amounts are more than what they actually are. So you got to take that into account. Next, where the round impacts on the steel, it's going to affect how it looks when the steel is swinging. Basically, it's going to affect the momentum, which way the momentum is going to go when it comes to the steel hanging from the chains. And your momentum is changed as it goes back because of the way that the tension is everywhere. It's just a bunch of different calculations that I just really don't want to fucking do. But it's just fun looking at. I could do the calculations no problem if I had all the numbers and the right numbers. But like I said before, the numbers that the ammo company gives you are not the true numbers that you are actually getting out of your firearm. If you hit the steel towards the top of the steel, it's not going to swing as much as if you hit it at the bottom. Now, perfectly, I would have hit in the same spot every time, but I'm a shitty shooter, so we're not going to hit in the same spot every time. When you're thinking about physics, you need to understand that energy is not lost. Everybody says, oh, it loses energy at a certain distance. No, it doesn't lose energy, it loses momentum. Energy and momentum, two totally different things, but you can cross-calculate to get one or the other. Energy, well, kinetic energy, which is what we are showing here in this test, is measured 1/2 times mass times volume squared. The volume is squared, not the whole thing, because if you're going to square it and then half it at the same time, well, there's no point. So it's 1/2 mass times volume squared. That is the equation for kinetic energy. Yeah, something small to start off with. Now let's see what it looks like coming out of a rifle. This is my Bergara. This is the BXR from Bergara. It's basically a 1022 clone. And yeah, let's see what it looks like at 10 yards. The 22 long rifle round that I used was the Thunderbolt by Remington, I believe it is. I think Remington makes the Thunderbolt. Anyways, it is a 40 grain bullet that is going 1,255 feet per second. Like I said before, those numbers are based off the box, not me using a chronograph. A 40 grain projectile has the metric weight of 2.59 times 10 to the negative third kilograms. That is 0.00259 kilograms. The reason I'm using kilograms is that's how you calculate kinetic energy, is you use kilograms. The 1,255 feet per second translates into 382.5 meters per second. So let's do the math here. 1/2 times mass times velocity squared. Beep, boop, boop, beep. That gets you 189.5 joules of kinetic energy, translating into 140 foot-pounds of energy at the muzzle. Now, momentum is mass times velocity. They both coincide with each other, kind of, but kinetic energy is measured in joules. Momentum is measured in kilogram meters per second. It's just how it is. When I tell you something in joules, you'll be like, what the hell is that? I go, well, okay, you're in America, so I'll change it to foot-pounds of energy. Now, if we're going to go ahead and calculate momentum, then we're going to take the mass and we're going to multiply it by the velocity. That way we get 0.991 kilogram meters per second. Most of y'all probably don't really care what the momentum numbers are, but it's just something fun, something stupid. Hey, well, it's not stupid. It's math. It's physics. I'm a scientist, right? No, I'm not a scientist, but also on some ammunition, it tells you what your foot-pounds is at different distances. Now keep in mind those could be fudged by the company that's selling the rounds. Now those numbers of energy at different distances are all different based on the length of your barrel, how high you are, because if you are a different elevation, like say you're in Corpus Christi, Texas shooting, and then you go to Denver, Colorado and shoot, your gravity is completely different based off of where you are elevation wise, as well as humidity, because there's water in the air getting on the bullet, weighing it down. You also have air pressure, which can coincide with your elevation, but can also coincide with what time of year it is, if it's summer, spring, winter, or whatnot. If you like my content and you'd like to see my channel going, it would be greatly appreciated if you could donate to me. This is very expensive to do, and as of today, I have no sponsors. I have one Patreon, and thank you, Garrett. Anyways, I do have a Patreon. I do have Subscribestar. Go check them out, Navy Sooner. There's nothing to check out there, really. I don't have any content there. It's just a way for you to be able to donate to me. I will put content up there if I start getting more followers, but there's no one there as of right now besides him. You can also donate to me through PayPal. My email address is navysoonerchannel@gmail.com, and you can donate through PayPal to me using that email address on PayPal's website. Go check out Life, Liberty, Pursuit of Happiness over on Instagram. The Instagram name is down below. Up next is my Masada by IWI. We're doing 9mm, 124 grain NATO round. See what it does. Obviously more. I mean, it's 9mm. Not 22 long rifle. The 9mm that I was using was 124 grains, and it was going at 1,140 feet per second. Now, you'd say, well, that's going slower, but the mass is bigger. So you take that and you change it up into the metric system. The mass at 55 grain, or the mass at 124 grains is 8.04 times 10 to the negative 3. That's 0.00804 kilograms. Now you multiply that by 1/2, and then multiply that by 347.5 meters per second squared. What you get is 484.6 joules or 358 foot-pounds of energy. you notice this, but the energy is bigger than the 22 long rifle. People be like, well, no shit, it's a 9mm and 22 long rifle. Well, I mean, if no one knows anything about firearms, they could take these calculations, and it shows that the energy that it can show that the kinetic energy at the muzzle for a 9mm is more at the muzzle than a 22 long rifle. All right, we're going to be doing 10.5-inch barreled 5.56. It is XM193, 55 grains. Let's do this. All right. Next is 55 grain XM193 out of a 14.5-inch, 25 yards. Let's look at the difference between velocity and acceleration/deceleration. Velocity is how fast something is going at that given time. Meters per second, miles per hour. That is a given time frame of velocity at that specific time. Acceleration is going from one speed to another and how long it takes to get there. So, and as well as deceleration, going from one speed to a lower speed and how long it gets there. Your bullet is going, as your bullet is going down the muzzle, most of the time you are accelerating. As your bullet is going down the barrel, most of the time it is accelerating. After it leaves the barrel, it instantly starts decelerating. So you have muzzle velocities and velocities at different distances. Now those are the instantaneous velocities at those distances. If you are losing velocity, you are also losing momentum. So all this is physics, and sorry if you already know this, but there's some people that don't, or some people that are nerds and just like listening to people talk about it. So the next round is the 5.56, which is smaller than the 9mm. It's 55 grains. I'm using M193, so it's 55 grains, and it is going 3,215 feet per second. That equates to 3.56 times 10 to the negative 3 kilograms, 0.00356 kilograms, and then the speed is 979.9 meters per second, 980 meters per second. Do the calculations, that's 1,709 joules, which in foot-pounds is 1,260. That's a lot more energy than that 9mm at the muzzle. And over time, it stays higher usually. And you can go to the computer and type in all this stuff on Google and find out what it is over distances. But the 55 grain M193 stays at a higher velocity over time than the 9mm does, and it does so much that over distance you still have more velocity with the 5.56. Might be a little windy for you, but we're at 25 yards, 9mm IWI Masada. We're doing it with 124 grain Nato spec 9mm. Our 50 yards, 9mm, 124 grain, IWI Masada. "50 yards, Bergara, 22 long rifle. Shooting that 5.56 round, I used two different lengths of barrels. This is a 14.5 inch, this is a 10.3 inch. Just wanted to show you that different barrel lengths, because of powder burns and all that stuff, gives you different velocities, therefore translating to different kinetic energy and momentums as it's hitting the steel plate. Obviously the 10.3 inch has less than the 14.5 inch in velocity, so it's not gonna show as much as the 14.5 inch. Now in the videos, minimally you might see it swinging more or less, but just know that yes, the 10.3 has less velocity as a 14.5 when it comes to the 5.56. 2 yards, 5.56, 193, 10 inch barrel, 10.3 inch barrel. Yards, 14.5 inch barrel, XM 193. See what she does. I have a rifled 20 gauge shotgun, got some Sabo slugs, 250 grain FTX from Hornady. Let's do it. I also did a 20 gauge slug. That's 250 grains and it was going 1,800 feet per second. Now let's turn it into the metric system. That is 1.61 times 10 to the negative 2. So there's only one zero, that's 0.0161 kilograms. Now the velocity is 548.6 meters per second. And do all your math and you get 2,423 joules of energy. That is 1,787 foot-pounds of energy. And here's a funny thing. At the muzzle, that 20 gauge is got way more energy than the 9mm and the 223 and the 22 long rifle. Obviously, 22 long rifle. But go out to a different distance, go out to say 200 yards. That 223.556 is going to have way more energy at 200 yards than that 20 gauge slug is at 200 yards. Why? Because it's heavier, slowing down faster. So now we're back to the line of the great Nicholas Amond, the Hundo line. That's right, famous Nicholas Amond. Anyways, we're at the Hundo line. Yeah, let's do this. First up, something I don't imagine will do anything. It's a 22 long rifle. Yeah. Next, 193, 10.3 inch barrel. .193, 14.5 inch barrel. Now I'm not going to give you the metric numbers for the 6.5 Creedmoor or the 308, but I mean, I'm going to give you the foot-pounds because they give me the foot-pounds, and I just don't want to do the calculations for that because, I don't know, I may be a nerd, but I'm not like, oh, I want to stay up all night and do calculations for all these rounds. It'll be so fun. No, that's not me. Not at all. So I'm just going to give you the numbers that the box gives you, and luckily the box gives you the foot-pounds out to the different distances, too, with these rounds. The 6.5 Creedmoor that I used was a match round, and it was 140 grains, and it was going 2,710 feet per second. At the muzzle, that is 2,283 foot-pounds of energy. Now 100 yards away, that's 2,030 foot-pounds of energy. So you can see that the kinetic energy went down about 250 foot-pounds. The 308 was 150 grains, and it was going 2,820 feet per second at the muzzle. Wow, I just realized that I don't see how it's going fast. Anyways, whatever. That's what they're advertising. That gives you 2,650 foot-pounds at the muzzle. At 100 yards, that's giving you 2,135 foot-pounds. The kinetic energy is going down more exponentially than the 6.5 Creedmoor, because the 6.5 Creedmoor is a lighter round, it can go further, faster, you know the whole deal. This is my 140 grain 6.5 Creedmoor. It's Winchester match ammo. Next up is 308. It is 150 grain soft points by Federal. Well, that's enough with all these numbers and being a nerd and all that stuff. But I thought it was fun, and let's start 2021. If you found this video interesting and you liked it, hit the like button. Also, please subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. And just throw some comments down below. But don't be a dick, because, I mean, if you be a dick, I'm just going to block you, and you can comment all you want, but it'll never be seen by anybody. Maybe sooner out. Alright, let's try this shit again. Anybody else have a problem with goddamn spam calls? I'm on a do not call list, but I still get the goddamn calls. WTF, mate. Now, and to the guy, the tunnel, whatever, I guess, tunnel pusher or something, I don't know what the hell his name is. He tried to harass me on Instagram. You are a piece of trash for doing that, for doing it on a picture with my daughter. Yeah. You need to understand what the hell you're talking about, because you're obviously not a police officer. And for the fact that you said that you're going to try and give me a felony because I support white nationalism. Well, first off, I don't support white nationalism, or what you think white nationalism is. You are trying to say white supremacy, but here's the thing. I don't support white supremacy. And also, even if I did, it's called a First Amendment right. You are allowed to support it if you really want to. And you really are just as big a piece of trash as you are tunnel pusher. So go keep getting your tunnel pushed in. I don't even know what your real name is, because I freaking blocked you over on Instagram. So if you find me over here on YouTube, you're a piece of trash. Get the hell out of here.